For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh, and today I got another fantastic pick from Fantasia Fest. This is The Last Footage. So The Last Footage is the first found footage film made in the country of Myanmar, and essentially this tells the story of a group of friends that go into a remote property that happened to belong to one of the friends' uncle and uncover some ancient evil. If you guys have been following Victims and Villains for any length of time, you guys know that I am not the biggest fan of found footage, but this one had some charm. I think what gives this film its charm is two things. First, that this is the first found footage in the country of Myanmar, and this is a pretty impressive first found footage film for a country that has never explored this genre before. And while it doesn't break new grounds and definitely does lean into some genre tropes, it's really enjoyable, and it's actually pretty funny in certain places and really scary in certain places. And second, the thing that brings this charm is the fact that this is a film that's told almost entirely through the lens of smart glasses, not necessarily a camcorder or a phone. I'll get to that in a second, but for the majority of it, it takes place through glasses. And that's the kind of horror film that I haven't entirely seen yet, and it was really exciting to kind of get to see what that looks like in the film. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certain parts within the film where it is really nauseating to actually kind of see this through the lens of it, especially as you're running. It's really hard to kind of not experience motion sickness, and so just kind of a warning that this is a film that could potentially trigger some sickness as you're watching. I think the thing that gets me most about this is that it is being shot through these smart glasses, and that's the gimmick. They spend so much time in the film's first act hammering down how cool these glasses are, how unique these glasses are, and really hammering it into the audience as well about how unique and really visually appealing this movie is because of that. And then there comes a part where they just kind of completely abandon that, and I'm not going to tell you where, but it kind of loses its charm, and that's kind of where I felt like the gimmick that they had and the thing that really made this film really special kind of was abandoned in the just for the sake of safety, to really kind of go the more modern day route, which is experiencing these things through your phone. And I think once the film kind of goes that route, that's where the film really kind of lost me. A lot of the charm, a lot of the comedy, a lot of it just really went from being inventive to being really generic. Even the threat, when the story reaches that point, feels very generic. It feels like, oh, hey, I've seen this before, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of it then. I'm still not a fan of it now. The thing that really surprised me most about this film is authentically how funny and charming it actually is. The first act, as we're exploring this friend group, is a really spectacular dynamic between the 6 to 8 people that this film kind of initially follows, and even as characters kind of get added on, they're really unique and really fun characters, or they're even opposing threats. And I thought that was a really fascinating, is that every character felt really individual for as large or medium size, I guess, of a cast this is. They did a good job at really making distinct characters different than one another. I think likewise, the other side of that as well is that there's not necessarily a development because of how large the cast can feel at some point. The development of said characters actually is almost non-existent here. But this is a found footage film, and you're not necessarily entering in or coming into a film within the found footage genre to see dynamic character development. I think likewise, the other thing that I have issues with is just kind of how messy and generic this third act really is. Even kind of as you expand upon the threat, this film just kind of feels like it falls apart once the glasses come off. The movie dies. With that said, I'm ready to run this one through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give the last footage a 3 out of 5. Overall, I thought this movie had some definite charm for the found footage genre. It definitely had some cool moments. The comedy hits really well. I love the chemistry between the characters. But there does come a point in this where it takes a really inventive aspect of the filmmaking and abandons it for a really generic paint by numbers entry into the found footage genre. Currently, as of this video, there are no plans for distribution, at least that we are made aware of here at Victims and Villains. However, in the show notes below, you guys will find links to find more information about this movie, as well as the other selections in this year's Fantasia Fest and our social media. The reason I bring up our social media is because I often like to share when these things kind of get international or at least stateside releases. Kind of like to share that as well, because I think films like this are really worth checking out. In the show notes below, you guys will also find links to our social media, as I mentioned, our mental health resource library, more movie reviews and podcasts like this, and the subscribe button. So until next time, remember to keep it classy and keep it spooky. Have a great night.